Welcome to Criminals Hate Me. It's the podcast that criminals don't want you to watch. And today I'm diving into a new case. It's about the United Healthcare CEO that was shot. We're going to basically lay out 2,000 reasons why he was shot. So the senseless killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has ignited a firestorm of online anger towards the health insurance industry. While many Americans express satisfaction with their own coverage, a deep-seated distrust of the industry as a whole persists, fueled by experiences with denied claims, restrictive networks, and the rising cost of healthcare. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over a bunch of comments on social media. Here's one from Jamie, and he's talking about the circumstances in New York City when the CEO was shot. So it was 6:47 a.m. It was in one of the busiest parts of Midtown Manhattan, and they were having an investors meeting at 8 a.m. and a Christmas tree lighting later that day. Okay, here's the details. The shooter utilized a silencer. He wore easily switched out clothing, and the shooter also had a backpack. So that's kind of to lay the groundwork of what happened. You know, I'm not going to play the video. If y'all want to see the video of it, there's plenty of other channels, but you know, that's not the point of my episode that I'm doing today. So per his wife, she says that he had been receiving some threats before the shooting, you know, and I don't think she knows the exact nature of them, and I don't know if Brian had told her everything. He just kind of told her that there was some threats, but it's kind of notable that he wasn't really living with his wife. There's different reports online, okay, but some say recently they weren't together, some say it's as far as back as the last 2 or 3 years. So they weren't really even together. And so I think that's led to a lot of speculation about whether or not his wife had something to do with it, because a lot of people think this was a hitman, but you know, police and a lot of professionals, they said there's no way that this guy he's a hitman. There's no way. So he made a lot of mistakes. And although in the video you can see he looks like a cold, calculated killer, it's not indicative of how a hitman would do things. He made a lot of mistakes, you know, like when he was in Starbucks, showing his face, and just the way that he was using the gun. But the thing is, he was very adamant and focused on making sure that Brian Thompson died. That's what he was out to accomplish, and that's what he accomplished. So that's what kind of makes it seem like he was a hitman, but it was more so that he had one goal, and that was to make sure this CEO was dead. We just don't know why he did it, but we have a lot of hints and a lot of speculation, you know, that could lead to it. So that's what we're going to dive into. Okay, so per ABC News, they're saying, just in, NYPD detectives discover words deny, defend, and depose written on shell casings that were found at the scene where the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was killed. And so a lot of people were trying to wonder what that means. A lot of people already understand it because they're in the healthcare field. But basically, here's a graph that shows, I mean, it's crazy, guys. 32% of in-network claims were denied by United Healthcare. That's what they average. 32%. It's the most in the healthcare industry. So 1 out of 3 people aren't getting the care that they need, and that's within network claims. So can you imagine the out-of-network claims? It's eye-opening, guys. Just shadiness of the healthcare industry, which kind of leads to this that I found after researching the deny, defend, depose writings that were on the shell casings. There is a book. It's kind of an older book. It was written back in 2010, but it's called Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It, written by Jay Feynman. Okay, and this could be what the killer is referencing. You know, maybe the killer read this book, and maybe he already hated the healthcare industry, and then something happened to him personally. We don't know if it's to him or a family member, or maybe a good friend, or it could be a girlfriend, or a child. But something happened that had to do with United Healthcare that made this guy want to take action. And so the book description says why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. It's an expose of insurance injustice and a plan for consumers and lawmakers to fight back. Now a paperback version of the hard-hitting original. The denial of valid insurance claims is not occasional or accidental or the fault of a few bad employees. It's the result of an increasing and systematic focus on maximizing profits by major companies such as Allstate and State Farm. Those were the main two back in 2010, but now United Healthcare is taking over as the number one to do all this crap, citing dozens of stories of victims who were unfairly denied payment. The book explains how people can be more careful when shopping for policies and what to do when pursuing a disputed claim. It also lays out a plan for the legal reforms needed to prevent future abuses. Unfortunately, these guys didn't go the legal way, or maybe he tried to go the legal way and he wasn't getting anywhere, and just out of frustration, this is how he acted. Turned to murder. But it's just interesting that he wrote these 3 words on the shell casings that were found at the scene, and then you have a book that matches exactly what he's talking about. So it's very bizarre, guys. This is a crazy case. All right, here's a post on Facebook from Robert Shear, and he's quoting Chris Hedges. He says, "We do not yet know the motive for the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. But it would not surprise me if the killer stalked Thompson because United Healthcare had denied medical coverage or forced a family or an individual into bankruptcy after the company failed to cover a serious illness. Insurers reject about 1 in 7 claims for treatment, often by deciding the treatment is not medically necessary." That's wild, man, but it could be something that drove this guy to do what he did. And then here's kind of a funny post, by the Georgia Department of Memes, where they're kind of laying out a scenario that happens to be very, very, very common. And it says, "Friend that's a nurse posted this. Here's the usual conversation about United Healthcare in hospitals. Person A, they're asking, is the patient insured? Person B responds, yes, but they have United Healthcare. Person A says, oh, got it. They're uninsured. So I guess United Healthcare is like the laughing stock of the medical care industry. Basically when patients come in, they're immediately labeled as, oh, they're uninsured. Because if 1 in 7 claims are going to get denied, that's a low batting average there, guys. You're not going to get approved for anything. So they're just probably used to seeing it over and over and over. And so now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of why I'm making this video here, guys. This is why I'm calling it 2,000 Reasons Why the CEO Was Shot. So I wanted to look up United Healthcare reviews just to kind of see what kind of company this was that this man was running, okay? What did the customers actually think about it? Because, you can look on social media and you can see speculation and rumors and people just assuming stuff. But let's just dig in to what's really going on with the company, okay? What are their customers actually saying? And this is on the Consumer Affairs website, and you can see that United Healthcare has over 2,300 reviews, and they average a 1.2 star rating, guys. If you look over here to the right, 92% of their ratings are 1 star. It's almost 2,000 ratings that are 1 star, and a lot of these people are saying that if they could rate them 0, they would. This is already not looking good, but I just figured that we would dive into 10 to 12 of these ratings just to kind of see what the customers are saying, okay? Just to get a feel for the company and to see what kind of things are happening that could have drove this suspect to doing what he did. Here's one by Aeneas from Florida that says, no thanks, would never use, would never recommend. They always switch prices, never keep their promises. They create duplicate bills. They pretend that medical necessity is cosmetic. They don't want a refund. And they don't want to cover anything. So that ties directly into what we've already covered, guys. Here's a customer right here, straight out of their mouth. Here's another one from Lewis. The company changed my PCP doctor without my permission or knowledge. I was wearing a heart monitor at the time too. I couldn't believe that they had the audacity to change a 53-year-old man's doctor without even a phone call. I couldn't even go to the doctor. They changed me to because they didn't accept Medicare for people under 65. When I called them to talk to the person that made the decision to change my doctor without permission, they acted like it wasn't a big deal. I can't talk to them anymore. They actually believe they are the boss of you and your care. I pay them to handle my bills, not to be over my doctors and to change my doctors without permission, and just send me a new card with a doctor on it I couldn't even go to. I'm still in disbelief. I have never had someone change my PCP without my knowledge. Guys, this type of stuff makes people very, very angry. Okay, healthcare is very, very important. Okay, it's a necessity, and you got health insurance companies that are making decisions and changes for you without even letting you know. Let's say you have a doctor that you love and now you can't even go to him anymore. It's pathetic, guys. All right, next is Bradley, which says, I'd leave 0 stars if I could. It's by far the worst experience I've ever had with health insurance. Their plans are filled with fine print garbage to worm themselves out of paying for literally anything. It's no surprise this scam of a company profited over $200 billion in 2020. You pay them monthly for them to spit in your face anytime you need coverage. You're better off with literally any other provider. And it's very interesting that this person mentions the $200 billion in profits in 2020, and the CEO was at an investors conference. So I'm sure that angered this suspect. The suspect, there's no telling what happened, with them, but something happened, and it either bankrupted them or caused them to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, or they got denied something that they felt they really, really needed. And here's this CEO of this company that's profiting all these billions that supposedly just sold his stock recently, and he's at an investors conference. It's pathetic, guys. And I can see how it could drive someone to do something. I'm not condoning it, but I can see it. Next, we got Colin from Buffalo, New York. Despite having the highest plan offered, it has consistently failed to meet my needs, resulting in large financial burdens. Over the past year, I have incurred expenses exceeding $18,000 for services not covered under this plan. Furthermore, the lack of coverage at Buffalo's Children's Emergency Services at Oshie's Children's has posed a huge challenge, as this is the primary facility in the region for pediatric emergencies. Their customer service, if you would like to call it that, is subpar in every way. If possible, stay away from United Healthcare at all costs. Then there's that pesky new enrollment by December 16th, which for the same plan will cost me 148% more. It's also interesting the timing of this, because they have enrollment coming up on the 16th, so that could be an angle also, if prices are increasing. This one's from Mary Eve in Oregon. My annual exam included a normal blood work lab. Under my policy, this is covered. However, 4 months later, the lab billed me for a portion that United Healthcare would not pay. I confirmed with my doctor's office that the lab work was coded correctly. I called United Healthcare on 3 occasions to find out what was going on. Each time I was told not to pay the bill, as United Healthcare had paid it and I was not responsible for this amount. The United Healthcare rep said she would call them and clear it up. Several more months later, the lab sent my bill to a collection service. United Healthcare will not provide me with a copy of the communications I had with them. Frustrating stuff going on, guys. Here's Brooke from North Carolina. You honestly might as well throw your money in the yard, set it on fire, or give it to the nearest crackhead. This is the absolute worst insurance company I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. They've done nothing but waste my time, my doctor's valuable time, and charged an arm and a leg for nothing. They will not approve anything, but will tell you if you pay more monthly, they might. They lie on the phone telling you how to navigate things. You waste weeks. Your doctor jumps through every hoop, and they still decide they don't care. This company should be ashamed of themselves. If you enjoy paying good money to bash your head on a wall repeatedly, give it a try, I guess. But I will not be re-enrolling. I would rather be uninsured. I'd get the same coverage, but for free. Lee from New Mexico says, so this is yet another example of health insurance policies with hidden features designed to deny claims and not pay out. Our child needs long-term occupational therapy, and everything on their website says it will pay out of network after a certain amount, etc. But what it fails absolutely to mention is that it only allows for 20 visits. He needs to go 2 times a week. This is totally absurd. And I'm glad the poor woman at the doctor's office who is paid to deal with these absolutely, unequivocally corrupt insurance companies caught it. They profit while everyone else suffers. Private insurance should be outlawed. Linda from Colorado, she says, avoid this company if possible. I wound up in the emergency room with 2 fractured vertebrae and a chip out of my ankle bone. They denied all non-opioid medication prescribed, forcing me to either take opioids or pay full price for the lidocaine patches out of my pocket. They have denied almost every other claim from this accident, forcing me to worry about paying even more than the $8,000 deductible they require as I filed multiple appeals instead of being able to concentrate on healing. I'm at the beginning of filing a complaint to the state of Colorado, and I am dropping them like a hot potato in 2025, and will let everyone who asked how awful and greedy an insurance agency they are. Guys, I know that it seems like I'm rambling, and this is repetitive, but guys, I think it's very, very, very important that we go through all of these to get a full understanding of how shitty of a company this was. I mean, these are people's lives that they're dealing with here, and they're screwing people over and denying them the health care that they need. So Lauren from Arizona says, if I could give 0 stars, I would. I'm actually appalled by the literal mistreatment and abuse that is allowed by this company. My elderly parents, who one of them is suffering from dementia, has been giving the runaround for the last 6 months and has still not been treated. How is that even okay? We live in freaking America and we can't even get care here. All I can honestly do is cry. No doctor's office in Las Vegas takes this so-called insurance, and we are at our wits' end. I'm going to commit the rest of my life to writing horrible reviews and getting in touch with anyone who will listen, so maybe my parents can get care before they pass away. I'll say it again. I'm appalled. Not sure who is in charge. Well, that's Brian Thomas, or he was. But I hope somebody with power reads this and can provide help to my parents. And guys, that's what this is all about. They're doing all this complaining. They're reaching out and begging for help from someone who can make the changes, and that's the CEO. And nothing was done. So this is why criminals sometimes feel like they need to take things into their own hands. All right, let's see what Pagon has to say. They denied a family member a drug that has kept their asthma in check for years. There are no other drugs that work as well as that one. I'm afraid this may seriously harm my loved one, possibly end them. They also won't approve a non-HRT drug to help treat me for menopause system. I shouldn't be on a HRT because of high risk for breast cancer, but according to United Healthcare, I have to either go without or risk breast cancer and try HRT. If my company doesn't offer non-United Healthcare health plans, I may have to change jobs. They shouldn't be allowed to exist. You can just see the anger and frustration that's just on and on and on from all of these guys. Julie from Oklahoma, if I could give negative stars, I would. I'm a middle-aged woman. My menstrual cycles have been so severe that my hemoglobin got to a 5.8, which is considered acute anemia. I went to the ER at an in-network hospital. They admitted me and gave me several units of blood and performed a DNC on me. I was in the hospital a total of 2 nights. Exactly 1 week later, I received a letter in the mail from United Healthcare stating that they would not cover my hospital stay or one of the blood transfusions as they were not necessary. Our United Healthcare premiums go up every year, yet when you need to use the insurance, they deny your claims. They are crooks. SM from Mesa, Arizona says, this thoughtless and incompetent company that provides my mother's Medicare Part D started calling our house incessantly with an automated message asking how her recent hospital stay was. A stay that ended with her spending 7 days in hospice care at home. She's been dead 10 days and this company is still harassing us with an automated message that gives no options for wrong number or I don't want these calls anymore. There is no way to speak to a human. Every time I try, I am instead put on hold, transferred to a number that can't be reached, and asked to call back another time before the call disconnects. Guys, that is ridiculous that they're doing this to this family here. This person died and they're still sending messages asking how the hospital stay was. I mean, guys, that is pathetic. So it's very obvious that this company doesn't even know what's even going on with their patients. You know, denying the claims and then following up on dead people. I mean, that is enough to make somebody want to kill somebody. And then here's another kind of a review, kind of a bad story that T Dirty on Twitter is talking about. So she says, I work in pediatric neurology. We have United Healthcare deny seizure medications that we can definitely tell will benefit patients based on their EEG results because it's not United Healthcare's preferred medication. The patient has to fail the preferred medication first, and by fail, this means that patient has to have a shitload of seizures. So these kids have to seize their fucking brains out to get a medication that we know will control their seizures. Fuck health insurance companies. Man, that is nuts, guys. How can you be an insurance company that denies something like this? Something that you know they need, but you're just trying to deny it to help your profits. So you can go to these investor conferences and give the good news to your investors, you know, that the stock's up and profits are up. Wow, man, I'm at a loss for words. And it's just story after story, guys. Nothing positive, all negative. And so after looking at all that negativity and all the bad reviews, it's kind of led to a theme on social media where you have people that are glad that the CEO got killed. I mean, they're kind of praising it. It's kind of sickening, guys, but you have to understand their viewpoint. So let's look at what this guy's saying. Professor Zinkus. Today we mourn the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was gunned down. And then he says, wait, I'm sorry. Today we mourn the deaths of the 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year so that insurance company executives like Brian Thompson can become multimillionaires. Then at the, down here, this guy Tom responded and said, see, that post is proof that on X, anyone can post their stupid and heartless thoughts and ideas. Okay, then Professor Zinkus kind of explains. He says, what's heartless about mourning the deaths of the nearly 700,000 Americans who've died over the past 10 years because of the private health insurance industry? So you can tell there's a lot of anger, guys. A lot of reasons for people to hate CEOs like Brian Thompson. And this is just one example. There's tons more. Here's one from Gritty from Philly. Brian Thompson killed more U.S. citizens than every serial killer combined. But because he made money off it, the media considered him a successful businessman and morally upstanding citizen. Wow. And then earlier, we talked about that other book that I showed y'all. But here's another book that's over 100 years old. It's called The Condition of the Working Class in England in 1844, and it's by Frederick Ingalls. And so he wrote this book about the working class in 1844. And here's an excerpt of part of the book, and like I said, it's over 100 years ago, but it clearly is very relevant to what's going on today with the insurance companies. Okay, when one individual inflicts bodily injury upon another such that death results, we call the deed manslaughter. When the assailant knew in advance that the injury would be fatal, we call his deed murder. But when society places hundreds proletarians in such a position that they inevitably meet a too early and an unnatural death, one which is quite as much a death by violence as that by the sword or bullet, when it deprives thousands of the necessaries of life, places them under conditions in which they cannot live, forces them through the strong arm of the law to remain in such conditions until that death ensues which is the inevitable consequence, knows that these thousands of victims must perish, and yet permits these conditions to remain, its deed is murder just as surely as the deed of the single individual. Disguised, malicious murder against which none can defend himself, which does not seem what it is, because no man sees the murderer. Because the death of the victim seems a natural one, since the offense is more one of omission than of commission. But murder, it remains. And that truly sums up what's going on here, guys, with the healthcare industry. When they only approve 1 out of 7 claims, basically, if those other 6 die, it's murder. And that's how a lot of people look at it. And this is nothing new, as you can see in this book that's over 100 years old. They've been talking about it forever. And last but not least, guys, this is another part of the negativity that's going on social media and the stuff that shouldn't be happening, okay? So this is a tweet by Potato Bun, whoever that is. And she's saying, just putting this out there for no reason at all. And she knows exactly what she's doing. She's being a smart ass is what she's doing, okay? But this type of stuff is uncalled for. So she's showing a picture of the Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO. She's doing it as a response to this tweet where someone tweeted, Blue Cross Blue Shield will no longer cover anesthesia for the full length of certain surgeries in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. So basically, she's hinting, hey, somebody off Brian Thompson, so maybe this is the next one that needs to be taken care of. That's sickening, guys. And they shouldn't be doing that, but I needed to point it out because a lot of people don't know that this is going on out there, but it needs to stop, okay? We don't need to put lives in danger just because of decisions by companies. It needs to be handled the right way. But we looked at a lot of info today, guys, and the 2,000 reasons why the CEO may have been killed is 2,000 mad customers that have publicly displayed that they're mad, okay? Which there's probably hundreds of thousands that aren't, making reviews, but we have at least 2,000 that have expressed their anger, and we've got all these examples of coverage that was denied. These are people that are suffering medically. They need treatment and they're not getting it, and they're paying hundreds and possibly up to $1,000 a month, who knows, for insurance that they can't use. So these people are suffering daily. It's hard for them to live. And I don't know what's going on with the suspect, whether he was suffering from something himself or whether he's just mourning the loss of someone, or he was worried that one of his loved ones is about to die. Who knows what his motive is, but I think he'll be caught pretty soon. But I think we as a social media community need to just kind of chill, and not post this kind of crap where we're condoning someone being killed. But that's all I have, guys. So thank you to all the new people who are watching and may have never heard of my channel before. I'm basically starting this channel over from scratch. I deleted all of my previous videos because they were about a case that I have decided to no longer cover for personal reasons, which is why I'm venturing out to start covering new cases. So please subscribe and hit the like button if you like what I'm doing. And remember, this is the podcast that criminals don't want you to watch.